Hey, what's up guys? Ben Clark here for Adapt to Perform. In today's video we're going to be talking about the mental health benefits of exercise. So everybody knows that exercise is really great for your physical health, but it's also very effective at helping you with your mental health too. So with the physical health, we know that it's great for helping with fat loss, gaining muscle size, aerobic capacity, but with the mental side it also helps with fighting against things like depression, anxiety, ADHD, post-traumatic stress, and much more. You probably heard from people that exercise often that they feel great once they've exercised, and that they're much better off for doing exercise. So I'm going to talk about why that is and how it affects different forms of mental health. So let's start with exercise and depression. Studies have shown that exercise is just as effective as prescription medication for mild to moderate forms of depression. And that's a really great thing, because with exercise the side effects are that you get fitter and healthier and stronger. Whereas with the off-shelf medications, the side effects can be whatever the side effects say they are. Also, with exercise, we are less chance of relapsing back into depression. So keeping up a regular, steady program of being fit and healthy and eating all the right things, that our chance of relapsing back into that depressed state is much reduced. Whereas coming on and off medication, we're much more likely to relapse. So the reason that it helps this is that the exercise actually affects changes within your brain. Yes, you're not just losing weight, you're not just building muscle when you exercise, you're actually changing the neural makeup of your brain. So these new activity patterns in our brain actually make us more calm and make us feel better about ourselves. Exercise also releases endorphins. Now you might have heard of endorphins before. No, they're not related to dolphins, but they are actually powerful chemicals that energize our brain and make us feel better about ourselves. Lastly, exercise is a great distractor. So depression can come from things that are in our lives. So if we take some time out during our days to focus on one thing, and that one thing is to make ourselves feel better through exercise, then it is distracting us from these problems. More and more of this, more distractions, and the more time we focus on feeling better about ourselves, more time we think about thinking about being better about ourselves, the more time that we actually are feeling better. So next up, let's talk about exercise and anxiety. So anxiety is a problem when we think about too much things in our own head. When we exercise, we're actually thinking about what our body is physically doing. So doing things like exercise and getting outside especially is really great for helping fight against anxiety. Exercising releases those tensions and those stresses that we put on ourselves in our day-to-day life. So doing this is actually giving us more and more mental energy and enhances our well-being. It's such a really great form of helping you overcome anxiety, even if it starts within your home. You don't have to get outside, but starting in your home and getting yourselves in a rhythm of exercising and making us focus on something other than the thoughts within our own heads is a great way to get on that next step, to maybe get out of the house, maybe do more things, see more people, and lead a better, healthier life. Okay, so moving on to exercise and stress. Have you ever noticed that when you are stressed that you become more tense, more tight, you start feeling ill? Or exercise is such a great way to break this cycle. Why is that? Because when we exercise, that we're not focusing on these things. When we actually relax and we open up. You might think, oh, if I exercise, that's going to tighten everything up. But in fact, it's going to help you loosen off and de-stress. As I said before, releasing those endorphins actually helps not just with the brain, but it helps with the rest of the body. It helps with relaxing and releasing that tension. When we release that tension, we're less likely to be stressed. If you are stressed and you have that tension, you become more stressed because you're tense. And exercise breaks that cycle and helps you create a new path away from that stress cycle that we're creating for ourselves. So, exercise and ADHD. Exercise is a really great way of reducing the symptoms of ADHD. Does this by improving concentration, improving your memory, your motivation, and your mood. So it does this by increasing the dopamine and serotonin levels within our brain. The exercise actually does this, and it's exactly the same thing as what the prescription medication does. So it's the same thing, but you're not getting that side effect as well. So maybe in conjunction with these medications, if you have a severe form, is a really great way to reduce symptoms and help yourself lead a happy and healthier life. So finally, we're going to talk about exercise, PTSD and trauma. So with exercise, this can really help with these things. PTSD is when our nervous system becomes sort of stuck and we cannot sort of get out of this pattern of feeling stressed. And it actually helps unlock this sort of chain and help us move on, helping us come unstuck as such. So when we exercise, instead of letting our mind wander and think about the traumatic events, whatever they may be, it actually helps you focus on what you're doing, whether that's pushing your wheelchair in my case, or if you're walking, or if you're whatever you're doing, it actually helps you focus on that thing and less about the other thing that we don't want to be thinking about. So the best sort of exercises to do in this situation is the ones that we're really having to focus. So complicated movements, not just going in the gym and just lifting a weight simply. If that's what you want to do, that's fine, but try and think of ways to really think about it. Think about how that weight feels, what it is when you lift it up. Think about that muscle squeeze as an example. But I recommend doing something like a sport where it's complicated. You have to think, you have to do tactics, and you're really focused on that thing at that time. It's a massive, massive help, and I highly encourage you to do it. So that's how exercise helps with those different forms of mental health. I just want to finish up with doing a few little more points of how it can help, just as more broad sort of terms. Helps with your sharper memory and thinking. Once we're doing the exercise, we're releasing those endorphins. It's going to help you long term with able to focus and have a sharper memory. Secondly, it helps with higher self-esteem. So when we exercise, we feel better about ourselves, and we sit up taller, or stand up taller, and we think better about ourselves. When we think better about ourselves, lots of other things become easier within life. So it also helps with better sleep as well. So when we exercise, we're getting in that rhythm, and our body's more tired, so we're more likely to sleep better. Better sleep leads to less likely to have these mental health issues. More energy. So with exercise, we actually have more energy. You might think, oh, if I'm exercising, I'm just going to be tired all the time. But it actually helps us with our day-to-day lives in terms of having that energy. We're training our bodies to be able to deal with what our lives throw at us. So, you have exercise more, you're more likely to be able to deal with the events of the day. And lastly, it gives you a stronger resilience. So with our exercise, have all those, you're focusing on what you're doing, you're having those endorphins released, you're feeling more motivated, you're feeling more focused, and it means that you're actually able to focus on yourself better. When we focus on ourselves better, we're more likely to deal with those challenges that are thrown at us day to day, those adverse things that can easily throw us off track and make us go back into the depressed or anxiety phases. So having that stronger resilience is a massive, massive help. So yeah, have it guys, that's my little video about explaining how mental health can be affected by exercise in a positive way. I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you are like me and you're in a wheelchair, I really highly recommend checking out my other videos on exercise. I do loads of different programs that you can follow along to and really enjoy. We'll just say that, thank you very much for watching. If you did like this video, please consider subscribing down below. That'll be a massive help. And if you want to support this channel even further, head over to patreon.com/adaptperform. Again, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.